I just want to do the intro to the show. You can share this on your Facebook now if you want to. Oh, you got inside. Look at you.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to turn your camera the other way. It'll make us look like we're the same size. There we go.
Ah,
Perfect.
there we go.
Perfect. Facebook people, whether you're at home with clothes on or off, it doesn't matter. Kick back, watch the blinking lights. We're having fun. These interviews were created just for you. I've seen too many people go to comedy shows and come out and go, I didn't even like the guy. I didn't even like the topics. I didn't care for nothing about the person. This is your chance to see if you like Ocho. Yeah. And then if you do, you follow him on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you know the drill. You find out where he's going to be performing live. You support him, that kind of stuff. You become his follower. Lord knows I have enough of my own. Let's help make Ocho go viral. Let's get him bookings. I know some of you are bookers, agents, and club owners. This guy knocks it out of the park. This guy's going places. You just mark my word. All right, so let me do the intro that he sent me. It says, I'm actually 6'8" tall. It's not just a name. That's why he goes by 6'8". He tells jokes any and everywhere, LA and Vegas and anywhere else. He's originally from LA and he's been in Vegas for 10 years. So welcome him right now to Comic Spot, 6'8". Woo! Hi.
Woo!
How you
What's
doing?
going on? I'm doing good, Linda Marcus. How you doing today?
Fabulous. Oh my gosh. You live here in Vegas. I've seen you at all of the places out kicking it and knocking it out of the park on stage. When you take the stage, people listen. What's that about? How do you command so much attention and respect right out of the gate? Because you do.
I think my height and my stature. People are just interested naturally just to hear what I'm going to say, to see if I'm funny. People probably want to see me on the basketball court. So they're like, "Why isn't he playing basketball?" So, but it's really, it's really just something that it's just natural. That's the challenge for me actually, is to come up with a formula to captivate the audience. So when I'm thinking of jokes or thinking of something that I think is funny, how can I, relay that over to the audience to make them relatable? So I try to come across relatable, just like a regular, everyday person like you and I, like everybody else is. So I think that's what makes it easy to relate to me as well.
Absolutely. I hate being told that I am likable. It's like, what about,
Right.
am I funny? Or you're so beautiful. What about the jokes? But you are
Right.
everything. You're everything. You're adorable. You're likable. You're funny. You have great jokes, great presence. You have it all. Everything right
Thank
there. So how many years have you been doing comedy, grinding at this?
Well, to be honest, I just had 1 year anniversary on December 1st. So that was actually my 1 year anniversary was December 1st the other day. So, uh, but I've had the urge for a long time. I just um, jumped at it last year. I just stepped. I couldn't I couldn't resist the urge anymore.
You come across like a 10-year veteran.
Really?
Yeah.
That means a lot, for real. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it. I would have never known. I saw that post and I'd forgotten about it, but you don't come across like a 1-year comedian, not at all.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I hope some bookers and club owners and agents will put you on shows and show producers, because you should be going around the country. You're that good.
Thank you. That really means a lot. I take the craft very seriously, so I do a lot of stage time. So like in my 1 year, I've definitely done well over 100 shows, just because open mics and things like that. Just because I hit the stage probably about 3 or 4 times a week if I can. So it's just building that momentum, just getting that stage time, getting comfortable out there, and just feeling how things go. So I'm really like a student of the game. So that's I think is what makes it uh, better and fun because it's like being like a junior high student. Like you got homework and stuff like that. You don't know. You only know a small portion of stuff. Like you learn what you learn in elementary school, but when you got so much more to learn, like it's not like you think that you've learned everything in the game. It's impossible. So much for me to learn, and yeah,
Every day there's something new to learn.
right, exactly,
I
and that's what I
love
love. That's why I love it. Yeah.
I love to study, even the comedians that don't have their stuff together yet, anything. I love to go and watch and study other people. So much
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah, it
You're
is.
all
It
you're
is.
always learning what to do or what not to do.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And that's what makes it fun and makes it challenging. And you may um, see other comedians that may be better at certain parts of comedy than you are, and you kind of like, oh, okay. I like how they transition from this subject to that subject, or I like how they let the joke breathe for a minute and let the crowd enjoy the laugh or enjoy the moment instead of just keep trying to, get all my jokes out at a, fast rate, So that's something I'm learning. Like patience and um, transitioning from one subject um, better, than I have been. So that's just something that craft that I know I need to add to my game.
So I want to ask you, in your life, you look like you're at least 21 years old. That's almost a
Right.
foot a year. So in your 21 years, what is it that you have like what is it that made you go into comedy, and who were some of your favorites to watch growing up?
Oh, that's a great question. I actually I actually knew I wanted to do comedy when I was a kid, but I was hesitant because I felt like there was a bad connotation to being like a comedy, like a jokester, like a clown, kind of like I kind of felt like it wasn't serious, so I would kind of like just dampen that urge. You know what I mean? I would just kind of push it down, like, now I'm trying to try to find so many different jobs and things to kind of fill that urge or fill that void, but I couldn't. Nothing felt. So one day, um, I was across the street from a place called Wise Guys here in Las Vegas, and they had just opened about 2 weeks before. I was there across the street. My family was having like an event over there, so I went over there and asked questions at Wise Guys. Hey, you guys have open minds? So I went there and I started watching about 6 or 7 weeks in a row. I was still in the back of the room, just quiet, just observing. And then I said, you know what? It just gave me the courage and the confidence, watching other people go up there and try and step out. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot. And so I did. And then when I did, I was like instantly addicted. It felt like that yearning that I was looking for, like that burning desire that I couldn't extinguish. So it really kind of like, oh, this is it. This was like that moment. So it was like it was beautiful. So it was like love at first sight.
I've seen you go up on stage probably 10 times, and I've never seen you do a bad job. Never.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, I actually I try to, make sure I have my material down. I try to, study. I always carry my joke book. I'm like kind of old school like this. A lot of people that I see, they jot notes in their phone. I do that too at times, if I don't have my book or something. But most of the time I like to write it down. So I have a joke book that I carry with me pretty much everywhere I go. It's in my car, if I'm at work, if I have an idea, I just want to write it down because like even before I got into comedy, this is how I knew that I wanted to comedy was for me because I used to always get random jokes or formulas or ideas, and I was like, why are these popping up in my head like a whole joke? Or I'll think about something in my mind. I'm doing a whole set, standing on stage. I have never done it before, so I was like, this. So I just like, I'm gonna start writing down these ideas, these jokes, because they must be for some, they're being put in my mind for a reason. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna step out, and there it is. Here I am.
Absolutely. What is it? Who were your favorite comedians to kick back and watch as a kid growing up?
That's a great question. When I was a kid, man, so many. I used to love. They used to show reruns of Sanford and Son kids, so that was one of my favorites. That was like really what. It's like, man, that was really one of my favorites. Was Red Fox, and
he was the first. Every time my parents would go out and get drunk, us kids would grab the Red Fox Red album and play it, and just it was for our parents, but we would play it when they were gone.
Right. That's funny because my older brother, he used to have he had came across some Richard Pryor albums and some Red Fox albums. So those were like the first ones. I was like, man, that's just listening to them, just like how people laugh and react, and how people would just sit there listening with all their attention and how they just controlled the room. I just loved it. I just fell in love ever since that moment. And then, but also I like a comedian named Earthquake. He's one of my favorites. I actually like Tosh Point O. He's one of my Daniel Tosh. I like Bill Burr. I like George Lopez. Joe Coy is actually one of my favorites. But also like people like Mike Epps and Cat Williams and Kevin Hart's and Mike Epps, and like it's so many people. But I remember watching Cat Williams' first stand-up comedy, and I laughed so hard, and I was like, you know what? One day, and I remember watching that, and I was watching it from a different perspective. Like I wasn't watching it from like a regular consumer. I was just like watching like how he stage presence, how he'll go back and forth, how he would, and I was just like, man. And so that's what I knew. I said, comedy must be for me. Like I don't know. I'm influenced by so many people. It's not like, because I watch comedy from a different perspective. So I got so many.
I have a friend in New York who is like a pretty big comedian, Steve Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
He plays basketball and he's a boxer. And he says that he can tell if somebody's going to deliver by their footwork. And Cat Williams has the footwork. Right. He commands the whole stage. He's got every step is calculated, and it's in his feet. His feet, like if you don't have your feet underneath you as a boxer, and you don't have the training for the feet to carry you through the whole thing, you're going to fall flat. And I think sometimes people's feet work actually keeps their energy up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I love watching Cat.
Yeah, I love watching it. But I also want to mention, I also love Ralphie May as well, because he was so, he would push the envelope to the max. He would say things that would make you be like, oh, wow. But he would have the whole room laughing. You know what I mean? And he was one of my favorites too. A lot of people would say, oh, Ralphie May, he's racist. But in comedy, it's kind of, it's a gray area, and some things it's uncomfortably funny. So sometimes you're like, oh, I can't believe I'm laughing at that, but it's you know what I mean. It's funny. So I mean, that's what makes it a little bit different.
If they can do material that's perceived as racist and have a plot twist in there where it's really self-deprecating, or we're all crazy, or some other angle about stereotypes, then it's funny.
Right. That's true. Yeah, because sometimes there, I mean, not sometimes, a lot of times there is a fun to almost everything in life. It's just nowadays we get into a politically correct climate where people are so sensitive about certain things. So now they want us to tread a little bit more lightly, but that's not how the art was originally intended. That was for us people to express things that probably was on thousands or millions of people's mind, but they don't have the platform to express themselves. So our job as comedians is to form an opinion, and sometimes it's popular, sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's what other people are thinking or lots of people are thinking, or we have it's a good art to pick and consumer is
There's an echo coming
personally.
through the phone right now.
One more time.
Say something else. Say something else. I heard an echo.
You said echoing?
Yeah, it was echoing.
Is it still echoing or no?
No, it's perfect now.
Okay, perfect.
Say that last part again about you're politically correct and saying what.
Yeah. So I was saying our job as comedians is to paint the picture for the consumer. It's a lot of times stuff that a lot of other people are already thinking, or it'd be stuff that people haven't thought about. They say, "Oh, you know what? I haven't thought about it like that. That's funny and brilliant at the same time." So our job as comedians is to say things that other people say or haven't said or don't have a platform to say. Some things that need to be said,
Yeah.
want to be said.
The only time that it bothers me is when people, I guess, are passive aggressive with their comedy. They're trying to use comedy to slip in racism, and under the guise that, oh, it's just comedy, chill out. Like, no.
And what's funny about that is I notice in situations like that, the audience don't laugh, they don't receive it because they know that it's just rules to be racist. You know what I mean? But there's times where people have observations of stereotypes to be funny.
The echo.
I'll say that's sometimes people use that as a to get off racist stuff, but a lot of times the audience they recognize that, so they don't laugh or they just kind of stare at them uncomfortably, like, okay, you're a jerk, move on. You know what I mean? So the consumers are usually smart enough to understand the difference between somebody just being a jerk and somebody who's really just thinking outside the box. Because there's a difference between just being a jerk and just trying to think of something from a different angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I think we've all been there when a comedian has poked fun at our group of people, because I'm part Jewish, and when I hear somebody say effing Jews as a punchline and the whole place erupts in laughter, I'm like, am I safe in here?
Right. That's true. That's true. I do understand that, because there are times where it does cause uncomfortable moments, and sometimes it's, I hate to say it, sometimes it's par for the course, unfortunately, because there are people who, and what, the comedy game, they'll have a way of filtering those people out. Eventually those people won't go far. So if their whole act is just being like racist and they don't have any true content, or then they won't make it far. They may get that laugh for that moment, but it won't be like, it's not going to be like a gut grabbing laugh. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like a
Yes. Okay, here's a question for you. Of all the comics, living and dead, and living or deceased, any comedian, you just got booked to do Madison Square Garden for the holiday show, and you get to be on stage with one person at Madison Square Garden, who is it?
Wow, that's a great question. If I got one person in Madison Square Garden.
Living or deceased? They could come back to life.
It will probably be man. I would probably do Eddie Murphy. You know why? Because he hasn't had a stand-up comedy special in a long time. And I think that would be like something everybody would want to see. They probably wouldn't necessarily want to see me, but everyone would want to see Eddie because the Raw and the Delirious, oh man, those are like all-time classics. So
Was something else.
yeah. And
Do you know who mine is?
Yeah, I would love to know.
Sinbad.
Sinbad. I love Sinbad. I
would love to go on stage, before to open up for him just one time, just one time, just to be in his presence, pick his brain.
Right. Yeah. I love Sinbad. I used to love watching his. He's having like a comedy music festival back in the '90s, and my parents used to always watch it, and it was really really dope. He really did some good things with comedy and music. Kind of blended those two worlds. Yeah. And also I was gonna mention too. Also, I was a fan of Seinfeld too, but not when it was out. When it was popular, I didn't become a fan until after. And then when I was watching, like somehow I found he was a stand-up comedian in the show, and I was like, oh, so that's what piqued my interest. I was like, oh, that's what the show's about. He's just, oh. So then I started watching it. I was like, oh, the show was so funny. So that's somebody else I really liked watching Seinfeld.
Yes. Isn't it interesting that he's the mastermind behind the show that has his name, and he gives himself the lowest part, the most like if anybody on the show was much ado about nothing, it's him. Everybody else had all these, Vakakta roles going on.
Right.
And he's just like flatline.
Yep. Right. That's
straight
true.
Guy.
That's true, because George Costanza, he was a character. And I can't think of the guy with the wild hair. Kramer. No, not Kramer. Was it Kramer?
Yeah, I think so.
Kramer, yeah. Had the crazy hair. Yeah, so it was a great show. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So tell people, we're kind of cutting it a little short here in the next 5 minutes. Tell people what it is you want them to know about you, where you want to get booked, how far you want to travel in the country, the world, to do comedy, what you bring to the table when you do comedy. Make a plea to the producers, bookers, and club owners. I want to see this happen for you.
Yeah, so I'm definitely free and open to coast worldwide. So if you wanted me to be in Europe or Hawaii, Miami, wherever, Canada, I'm there. I'm actually great at both, any audience. So any crowds, I'm flexible. Any topic, whether it could be relationship, political, personal, there's no restriction. I have a big book of jokes that I can touch on, and I'm always working. I'm always grinding. There's always something new. I've won about 3 or 4 competitions here in Vegas, so there's no limits for me. I plan on doing this to the very end. I'm very passionate about this. I'm very addicted to this craft, this art. You know what I mean? I love just the art form, just being able to formulate a formula for laughter. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like that's my job. You know what I mean? To come up with something to relieve people's stress and have them walking out feeling better than they came in. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm open to any and everything. And if there's any type of restrictions or, as far as language or non-language, I'm definitely flexible in that area as well. So if you want some clean comedy, I'm definitely open to that. Or if it doesn't matter to you, I could do that as well. So kind of flexible in that aspect as well.
Super. Thank you, Six. So, Six Ocho, tell people where on the internet to follow you and some upcoming gigs you have going on.
Well, you can follow me at SIXXOCHO 6Ocho. That's on Facebook. And on Instagram, it's the number 6IXX. The Great. And that's the number 6IXX8 The Great. And that's 68 The Great on IG. And I have, I'm doing shows. I'm always at Wise Guys. That's where I'm always go. I actually go to Wise Guys pretty regular. That's like my practice. That's where I go to, get everything going. Yeah, it's my sparring gym. And Urban Lounge, I'm there always. Thursdays, Tuesdays, sometimes I'm at 18 Bins. Sometimes used to be a place called Artifice, but I'm not sure if they're still going to be doing shows there. Oh, bless you, bless you.
Thank you.
Mondays at the Penalty Box. That's in Henderson on Sunset Road with Dennis Lavender. I got a lot of people here in Vegas that I look up to that I kind of watch and kind of like get advice from, and I just kind of watch. So next, actually later on this month, there's going to be the comedy roast battle with TC Morgan, the Captain TC Morgan. That's going to be at Wise Guys.
The 14th.
The 14th. Yes, thank you for that. The 14th. And so that's something else that's coming up. So a couple of things I always post on my social media about things. I also going to be doing like a Chocolate Sundays virtual show, but that's not until June. So that's in California at the Comedy Factory, the Comedy Store. So that's going to be great. And so a couple of things coming up, in the next couple of weeks.
Super.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, anytime something comes up on your schedule that you want to promote, hit me up to come back on and plug things.
Definitely. I definitely will. I just did have a question for you. Is that a picture of you in the background with the?
That's Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, okay. It looks like it could have been you. It looks like maybe. I was trying to peek under the sheet to see, like, is that?
People say I look like, I get done doing my comedy and people say, oh, you're so beautiful. You look like Marilyn Monroe. So I thought, whatever, I'll put her picture up.
Right. Well, I can see the similarities for sure.
I just want them to say I'm funny. I don't care if they like my looks.
Well, yeah, you definitely are funny. And I also, I'm a fan of your work too. I see you getting in all over town, all over Vegas, and you're a very funny woman. If you guys haven't seen Miss Linda Marcus Smith perform, you're missing out. She's very talented. She's very funny. I see her grinding just as hard as everybody else. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on. You guys, I told you, he's something else. You got to book him. Pay attention to get a hold of him and help his career, whatever you can do. Follow him, find out where his shows are, go to him and watch him, help his numbers grow. 6 Ocho, and that's SIXXOCHO on Facebook. And on Instagram, it's the number 68, the number 68, The Great.
Yes. Number 6, the number 6IXX8, The Great.
68, The Great. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yes.
Super duper.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on. I have enjoyed this so much.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to seeing you around.
Yeah, see you later. I'll be over at Oyo tonight.
At Oyo?
Yeah, I'll go watch over there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Another new place that I want to check out too. So I may go over
Yeah,
there too as
they
well.
let you hang there for free if you're a comic. So
Okay.
definitely. Okay.
Nice, nice,
See
nice.
you. Bye.
Okay. See you soon. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.